Welcome to the Disneyland Beat, where our toes tap to a Disneyland drum.
And we always whistle while we work.
At Disneyland, most guests, especially those new to the park, will follow the main flow of traffic through what looks like the largest path, because if you don't know where you're going, you can end up at a dead end, hemmed in by railings, scenery, or cast member only areas.
But once you get to know Disneyland and Disney California Adventure, you discover there are a handful of paths and places that are much less traveled. These are the shortcuts and secluded secret paths of Disneyland and DCA.
Come explore the parks with us.
Like, subscribe, and stick around.
Disneyland is your land.
Come seek an adventure at your pirates, eh?
Make the jump to light speed.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm TC. First, let's look at all the shortcuts, which very often, in order to be a shortcut, don't have much traffic on them and in themselves can be nice escapes from the packed crowds. Disneyland has quite a few paths that don't scream out that they actually connect through to somewhere. And some don't, but several do.
Fantasy Faire is one of our favorite pass-through spots. Throughout most of the day, it provides quick access to Fantasyland via the West Cast entrance going right past the Bippity Boppity Boutique.
It's a gorgeous view of the castle, especially at night. The only thing here is right before fireworks and some parades, cast members will redirect traffic depending on the crowds.
Fantasy Faire also offers quick access to 2 different spots in Frontierland and vice versa. It's an excellent way to travel from Frontierland to Fantasyland without having to go all the way around Big Thunder Trail.
One path goes right through the courtyard building past Figaro and the Bluebird and pops out right at Rancho del Zocalo restaurant and the shooting gallery. We highly recommend trying this out. It's a charming corner of the park, and there's restrooms here that are slightly less traffic.
And there's another path from Fantasy Faire that is almost always deserted. It's a short little path that connects the medieval fair to the entrance area of Frontierland right behind the fort walls by the cannon and pin trading hotspot.
It's just a simple little path with Frontierland themed railing, but it's a quick shortcut and one of our favorite ways to zip around the park.
Adventureland has one of the most crowded entrances to any land because it narrows down quite a bit to a tight turn right where one of the largest bathrooms in the park is. Many cast members in Adventureland and Frontierland are asked to direct guests to these particular bathrooms, so the pileup is big, but we have 2 ways we like to avoid it.
Our favorite, especially in the morning when the crowds in the lanai are really light, we cut through Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, right across the lanai, up the stairs as if we were going to the Tropical Hideaway, and then we hang a right down the first set of stairs we come to into Adventureland. It cuts the corner and a lot of people.
This plan can backfire later in the day when the Tiki Room is crowded, or if you happen to time it right when a full show is letting out.
The other but less effective way to avoid this crunch is to enter Adventureland through Frontierland, immediately turning left once you get past the gates. Then, as soon as you can, hang a right into the Adventureland Bazaar shop itself and find a clear path through the store into the jungle that way.
When heading to Sleeping Beauty's castle, don't forget about the other side entrance that goes by Snow White's grotto. This could be the quickest way to cut over to Peter Pan or other spots, but it's also a charming little spot in its own right.
When traveling from Frontierland past New Orleans Square to Critter Country, we recommend hanging as close to the water as you can. There's 3 paths on 3 different levels here. Sometimes the middle path has less traffic, but the upper path that goes closest to the Haunted Mansion in New Orleans Square is always the most crowded.
As you get to the Harbor Galley, head to the right past Pelican's Harbor into what looks like backstage space. This is Fowler's Harbor, and you are able to walk all the way around it with the path popping out near the entrance of the Davy Crockett Explorer canoes. This secret path has a corner with a few tables. It offers a close look at the sailing ship Columbia and looks down into the Splash Mountain flume.
This secret little path is even harder to spot when you're coming the other way from the north of the park, like Critter Country or Galaxy's Edge. There's almost always a food cart set up at its entrance this way. But it's a bit of a shortcut, and it's definitely a peaceful, secluded place.
Over at Tomorrowland, when traveling from the Star Tours and Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters area toward the other side of Tomorrowland, where the Lagoon, Monorail, and Autopia are, we cut through the Galactic Grill.
Galactic Grill has one of the most spacious outdoor eating areas in the park, and it's pretty easy to cut through and around here without any issue. If you're not headed to Space Mountain or Pizza Planet, it can save you quite a few steps either way that you're going.
Otherwise, you have to walk around the defunct People Mover terminal and dream of what used to be and what could be.
As you leave the main entrance of Tomorrowland and you're wanting to head north towards Fantasyland, It's a Small World, or even the Matterhorn, hang a hard right. There's a separate fenced-in path that cuts right over from Tomorrowland past Pixie Hollow, ending at a large path headed to Fantasyland. And actually, if you keep going straight, you head right into Snow White's grotto, which we previously explored.
And one little spot near It's a Small World on the corridor by the Small World Plaza, there's a back path separated from the larger plaza by a tall hedge. It's a holdover from previous layers, but it's definitely the least crowded path from Fantasyland to Toontown.
This next shortcut we want to mention is most useful when leaving the park on a crowded evening. The many Main Street USA shops are actually 4 large buildings. You can walk from shop to shop inside almost the entire way, from Town Square to the Hub.
This takes a little practice, as there are a couple things you can't pass through. The Carnation Cafe and the Main Street Cinema create a block that cause you to head to the sidewalk for a bit, but once you work out a path, it can be quicker and easier than heading down the street.
Over at Disney California Adventure, there's not as many shortcuts as it is a much smaller park, but just like at Disneyland on a crowded night, we like to exit through the Elysian Arcade instead of going down Buena Vista Street. And the other ones, they're pretty obvious. Cars Land has 2 side entrances that connect to Avengers Campus and the Pacific Wharf, soon to be San Francisco.
But there is one path that we see people walking past all the time, and that is the Grizzly Mountain Back Path. This path snakes around right through the Grizzly River Run attraction, feeling much like a national park with its secluded trees and waterfalls.
At the end of an incredible World of Color performance, as thousands of people head for the exit at once, it's a great quiet path to avoid the crowds for a while and take in some last-minute Disney magic before you head home.
In addition to these regular shortcuts, Disneyland will sometimes create ones for you. Sometimes when exiting Disneyland during really peak crowded times like during fireworks, cast members will open up the small access paths behind the Main Street USA buildings, allowing you a quick exit past all the parked crowds.
If you're lucky enough to be there when they open this, and you take the western path behind Refreshment Corner to the Emporium, you can get a backstage view of the Jungle Cruise boat moorage and the back of Walt Disney's apartment. On the eastern side of Main Street USA is a less utilitarian corridor with lattice and posters and a little bit of theming.
Well, that's it for today. Thanks so much for joining us. Next time you're in Disneyland, try out the road less traveled. It can make a difference.
May the light in the firehouse window always shine brightly, and may your dreams always come true.
See you real soon, Mouseketeers.